physical therapist.
And I'm Brad Heining, physical therapist down here.
And together, we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion.
In our opinion.
And that's important, Bob.
It is. What are we talking about today, Brad?
Well, today we want to talk about is a herniated disc. Okay, some people refer to it as slip disc, something of that nature, but a bulging disc, but it's a herniated disc, and I got a nice model to really show how this works and how you can...
A bulging disc, you probably want to show that too, but is not as serious as a herniated disc. You can have a bulging disc and actually not have any symptoms.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so we're talking about a complete herniation, really.
The
big one.
Okay.
So, what do you want to start with, the spine?
Yeah, let's take a look at the spine.
All right, nice throw, Brittany.
All right. So here we've got the spine. Okay, so if Bob's sitting here facing this way, and we could have X-ray vision like Superman, we pull that out, and here
Head, pelvis, legs.
Now herniated discs, the majority of them happen on the lower lumbar, okay, between L5 and S1, or L4 and L5, but they don't have to happen there, but that's more commonly where they happen just because of the mechanics and the physics of
those are the lowest vertebrae.
So when you look at a spine, this is good posture, okay? Now, often
like this.
Right, so we're sitting up tall, we've got a slight curve here in the mid-back, the neck will curve back this way, and your low back actually curves like this.
Inwards a little bit.
You really won't see it because the tissues of the body cover up real well, but that's a healthy curve on the spine. Now, if you sit slouch, why don't you slouch out, Bob? And what happens is the curve actually reverses. Or if you bend forward, why don't you bend forward with some poor body mechanics, Bob? If you bend forward like that, and we're putting a lot of stress down here, and it's actually rounding the back in the opposite direction. Okay, so if we're looking at it like this happens. So let's take a look at the stresses on the disc and find out how that herniated disc can happen. Yeah. Herniated disc, bulging disc, rupture, but we're going to talk the whole thing. Now this is a vertebra coffee cup, but we're going to use it for a vertebra model for this demonstration. We're going to call this L5, the lowest vertebra that you have. Then we're going to go L4 above it. Now, if some of you people watching videos are saying, oh, but there can be an L6. Yes, there can. We're talking about most people. We get people feedback and the extraneous things that happen. We're talking about the most common. Now, I need my model of the disc. Okay, the disc is not a solid tissue. Okay, the disc actually has it's called the annulus on the outside, and inside it's called the nucleus pulposa, which it's not really watery, it's more of a like gel or like
toothpaste maybe?
Yeah, or jello, and as you age it gets more and more. As a matter of fact, in your 80s, the class I went to said that was more like a crab meat that gets that dense actually.
Starts to dry up, you don't have as much height.
Right, and you don't have the flexibility.
One of the reasons why you lose height as you get older.
Part of the aging process, and that's why herniated discs usually happen more people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So here we go. We've got the disc, we've got the gel fluid. Some people say they'll refer to it, I have therapists, and one of our good therapists, friend of mine, he tells people it's kind of like a jelly donut. You got the outside annulus and inside is like the gel in the donut. Now, if you bounce up and down, there's some give in that, and that acts like a little shock absorber, okay? When you bend forward, like when Bob was slouching forward or bending forward and rounding the back, this is what happens.
So I'm bending forward, that's what is happening to my spine.
Look at the disc. The disc is actually getting wedge-shaped, and just because of the mechanics and the physics of this, the fluid inside the disc is pushed back this way. Keep in mind, right through here is a spinal cord. We don't have that on this model, but the spinal cord and the spinal nerves come out to the side. Yeah, go ahead, let's get a representation of this on the model.
So you can't, well, you can see, actually this is probably the best way to see it. There's the spinal cord running up through the canal there of all those vertebrae, and this is going to be important. There's also nerves coming off the side, the spinal nerves coming off the side. And that'll be important in a second when we show you what happens with the disc and how it can put pressure on those nerves.
Okay, yeah, hold on to that, Bob, because it's something I think we can get. Now, after typically a herniated disc does not happen when you bend over once to pick up that heavy piano with poor body mechanics. It's something that happens from years of poor body mechanics and poor seated posture. It builds up, and the annulus, that outside layer of the disc, it just decays and breaks down. And
You usually have to earn
Right.
a disc. It takes a while.
Yep. And what'll happen is, but at the point where it's gonna go, it can happen when you're just bending over to pick up a pencil, or actually just sitting there in a car driving for a long time, or wherever it may be. Now let's zoom right in on here, Nancy, and we're gonna talk about, after 1 year, the annulus starts to bulge a little bit, and as it continues to get worse and decreases in integrity, it starts to bulge some more, and when you get the full herniation, that's what you got right there. Does that come in pretty good, Nancy? Good. So there is our herniated disc. Okay, it's bulging out. Now this is right through the spinal cord. If this happened, pushing on the spinal cord, you got serious. You're going to the surgery right now.
You're going to lose function of your bowel and bladder, and you're going to get pain down both legs. And
luckily, this doesn't usually happen. The disc usually herniates on the lateral side. Now let's look on this model. It actually has a good representation of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, they got a pin over there. Yeah. Okay. Not a bad catch.
Yeah, not bad.
Good throw. So, can you see this, Nancy? Right here, this red disc, you don't have a red disc, but this model's got a red, so you can see it draws attention to this bulge right here. And this is probably more like the actual size of the bulge as opposed to the model we have. And see, this is a peripheral nerve. This nerve actually comes out and joins up with the sciatic nerve.
Spinal nerve.
Yep, spinal nerve. What did I say?
Peripheral.
Yes, it turns into a peripheral nerve. We're getting technical here. But the whole point is it puts pressure on the nerve. And when the nerve gets impinged, you get symptoms. And the symptoms here will typically go down into the leg.
Yeah, pain, numbness, tingling.
Yeah, all these things.
Weakness.
Not fun.
Yeah, it's not good. It's some of the worst pain you're going to get is nerve pain.
Exactly. So the goal is to get this bulge. As a physical therapist, we want to see if we can reverse this, reduce it, get the bulge back in where it belongs, and get it to heal up.
And we've done that in other videos, and again, so the one thing you want to try to avoid is that rounded out position, which tends to put your back.
Posture, 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 to get down to the basics. Anything else, Bob?
I think that'll cover it.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thanks.